Tombstone shipped on Christmas Day in 1993 and never stopped getting watched. The cast scattered to ranches, to other films, to hospital rooms. 5 are dead. 7 are still here. The marriages, the diagnoses, the late career resurrections, every story you never heard is in this video. Number 1 is the actor whose Doc Holliday has been quoted at every wedding, every bachelor party, and every friend's funeral for 32 years. Val Kilmer was 33 when they cast him in Tombstone. He trained for months on the quick draw, built a genteel Southern accent from scratch, and delivered every line you can hear in your head right now. I am your Huckleberry. You are no Daisy. He did the duel with Johnny Ringo on a backlot, dying of consumption while standing perfectly upright in a long black coat, and the Academy did not nominate him. Val grew up in Chatsworth, California, and was the youngest person admitted to Juilliard at the time. He was 17. His younger brother Wesley drowned in a swimming pool when Val was a teenager, and he said in the documentary about his life that he never fully recovered from it. He met Joanne Whalley on the set of Willow and married her in 1988. 2 children, Mercedes and Jack. 2 months after Jack was born, Val learned about his own divorce while watching CNN in a hotel room. He never married again. In 2014, he was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma at the base of his tongue. The procedure to treat it damaged his vocal cords. The man with the most quotable voice in modern cinema lost the use of it. By the time Top Gun: Maverick brought him back as Iceman in 2022, the production had to use artificial intelligence to recreate his voice on screen. He died on April 1, 2025, at UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles, age 65. Pneumonia. Cremated 6 days later. Doc Holliday was the man who said he had 2 guns, 1 for each of you. Val Kilmer was the actor whose final film required a machine to make him sound like himself. At number 2 is Wyatt Earp himself. Kurt Russell was 42 when he made Tombstone, and he did something for that picture he refused to talk about for 13 years afterward. The credited director Kevin Jarrah was fired a month into production. Russell got Sylvester Stallone on the phone, asked for a name, and Stallone gave him George P. Cosmatos, who had ghost-directed Rambo, First Blood Part 2, for Stallone the same way. Russell ran the set. He gave Cosmatos a shot list every night. He cut his own scenes to pump up other actors. He worked on 4 hours of sleep, and he never put his name in the director's chair because the project belonged to Jarrah, and he did not want to be the man who took it. He waited until Cosmatos died in 2005 before saying any of this in public. Val Kilmer corroborated it in 2017. His personal life is the longest unmarried marriage in Hollywood. Kurt and Goldie Hawn first met on set in 1968 when he was 16 and she was a young dancer. They reconnected in 1983 and have been together ever since, 43 years. They have 1 son together, the actor Wyatt Russell. Kurt has another son, Boston, from his first marriage to Susan Hubley. He is stepfather to Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson. They have never married. Kurt is 75 and lives most of the year on a 72-acre ranch outside Aspen called Home Run Ranch. He played Wyatt Earp at 42, holding a town together with both hands. He held the production together the same way and let another man take the credit. Number 3 played Morgan Earp, the youngest brother whose murder at the billiards table is the moment Wyatt becomes the angel of death in a black duster. Bill Paxton was 38 at the time. The role required him to die in the picture. He gave it the kind of boyish warmth that made Morgan's death matter, and gave Wyatt's grief somewhere to go. Bill grew up in Fort Worth, Texas. When he was 8, his father took him and his older brother to see President Kennedy speak outside the Texas Hotel on the morning of November 22, 1963. There is a photograph at the 6th floor museum at Dealey Plaza of young Bill being lifted on a stranger's shoulders to see the president. Hours later, Kennedy was dead in Dallas. He met his wife on a London bus in 1983. Louise Newbury was 17 and a student. Bill saw her in the queue, got on the same number 37 bus, sat in front of her, turned around, and said hello. They carried on a transatlantic romance for years and married in 1987. 2 children, James and Lydia. The marriage lasted 30 years. In February 2017, Bill went on Marc Maron's podcast and told the listening world he had a damaged heart valve from a childhood case of rheumatic fever. He was going in for surgery. The procedure was at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles on Valentine's Day. There were complications. There was a second emergency surgery. There were 10 days of decline. Bill Paxton died of a stroke on February 25, 2017, age 61. The news broke hours before the Academy Awards ceremony the next night. His family later sued the surgeon and the hospital and settled out of court in 2022. Morgan Earp dies in a billiards hall on screen. Bill Paxton died on a hospital table that, by his family's account, never should have been the table he ended up on. If you have a memory of Bill Paxton, Twister, Apollo 13, the way he made Morgan Earp's death feel like a brother's anything, leave it in the comments. Some of these tributes mean more than the obituaries did. Fourth played Virgil Earp, the oldest brother and the moral conscience of the picture. Sam Elliott was 49 when he made Tombstone. He is 81 as of this video. The arm shot up in the OK Corral leaves Virgil disabled and ends his career as a lawman. Elliott plays the moment with the kind of stillness no other actor in the film has. Sam first met Catherine Ross on the set of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969. He was credited as card player number 2. She was already a star, fresh off her Oscar nomination for The Graduate. They did not start dating for 9 years. They were cast as the leads of the 1978 horror film The Legacy and have been together ever since. They married on the 1st of May, 1984. He was her 5th husband. Their daughter Cleo was born 4 months later and is now a musician living in Malibu near her parents. The marriage is 42 years old. Sam has said the secret is wanting to be married. He is still working at the level of a leading man. He won the Screen Actors Guild Award for 1883 in 2022. He earned an Academy Award nomination for A Star is Born in 2018. He is currently a series regular on the 2nd season of Landman, opposite Billy Bob Thornton. Virgil Earp left Tombstone with one good arm and a long, quiet life ahead of him. Sam Elliott left it with everything he ever wanted. 5th on the list was the most dangerous-looking man in the picture. Powers Booth was 45 when he played Curly Bill Brocious, the smiling, drunken kingpin of the Cowboys gang who shoots the town marshal in the street and laughs about it. The shootout in the riverbed where Wyatt walks straight into the gunfire is one of the highest moments of the film, and Booth's villainy holds the other end of it. Powers was born on a cotton farm in Snyder, Texas, the youngest of 3 sons of a rancher who had named him after a best friend killed in World War II. He became the first in his family to attend college and joined the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in 1970. He once said villains last longer in people's minds and are more fun to play. In 1980, he won the Emmy for Guyana Tragedy. The Screen Actors Guild was on strike that year, and Powers was the only nominee who crossed the picket line to accept his award. His speech opened with one line: "This may be either the bravest moment of my career or the dumbest." He was married to his wife Pamela for decades, 2 children, Paris and Preston. The marriage stayed entirely out of the press. In late 2016, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and told almost no one outside his immediate family. He died in his sleep at his Los Angeles home on May 14, 2017, age 68, and was buried in a private service in Texas. Curly Bill loved an audience. Powers Booth spent his last 6 months making sure none of his audience knew. 6th played the woman Wyatt Earp would leave his marriage for. Dana Delaney was 37 at the time. Her Josephine Marcus is the modern woman of 1880s Arizona, sexually direct, professionally ambitious, and entirely uninterested in being anyone's wife as a default. The role came right after she had won her 2nd Emmy in 3 years for the lead in China Beach. Dana was born in New York City and raised in Stamford, Connecticut. The family wealth came from her great-grandfather, who invented a flushing valve still used in commercial toilets across America. She was a member of the first co-educational class at Phillips Academy and graduated Wesleyan in 1978. She has never married, she has no children. She has spoken openly about her decision to live alone, framing it not as a regret but as a deliberate way of life. She is 70 as of this video. In her 40s, she was offered the role of Carrie Bradshaw on Sex and the City and turned it down. The part went to Sarah Jessica Parker. Dana voiced Lois Lane across the DC animated universe for 17 straight years, the longest tenure in that role in any medium. She recently starred in the world premiere of Highway Patrol at the Goodman Theater in 2024. Josephine Marcus took Wyatt Earp away from his marriage. Dana Delaney has spent 70 years not married to anybody, says she has no regrets, and turned down the role that built another woman's career. Number 7 took the smallest credited role in the principal cast and lent the picture his entire career. Charlton Heston was 70 when he played Henry Hooker, the Arizona cattle rancher who shelters the Earp posse during the Vendetta ride. He had won the Best Actor Academy Award for Ben-Hur in 1959. He had played Moses, Michelangelo, John the Baptist, and the lead astronaut in Planet of the Apes. He took 2 minutes of screen time in Tombstone because he loved westerns. He was born John Charles Carter in Cook County, Illinois, in 1923. He won an acting scholarship to Northwestern in 1941, then enlisted in the Army Air Forces and served 2 years as a B-25 radio operator in the Aleutians. He married fellow Northwestern drama student Lydia Marie Clark in March 1944, just before deploying overseas. They were married 64 years. 2 children, Fraser and Holly. 3 grandchildren, Jack, Ridley, and Charlie. In August 2002, he announced via a pre-recorded video message that doctors had told him he had symptoms consistent with Alzheimer's disease. The line he wrote for the announcement, "I must reconcile courage and surrender in equal measure." By March 2005, family and friends were reporting he was sometimes unable to get out of bed. He died on the morning of April 5, 2008, at his home in Beverly Hills, with Lydia at his side. He was 84. The cause was eventually reported as pneumonia, complicated by the disease. Henry Hooker was the rancher who took in the Earp posse and gave them a place to sleep. Charlton Heston was the man who parted the Red Sea and was already losing the words for it the day he stood on a saloon porch and shook Wyatt Earp's hand. Number 8 is the man who drank between takes to play a coward. Stephen Lang was 41 when he played Ike Clanton, the loudmouthed, drunken cowboys instigator who survives the OK Corral by running away from it. The director George Cosmatos confirmed Lang stayed visibly intoxicated through filming to keep Ike's performance unstable. Lang has said in every interview since that Ike is his favorite character he has ever played because he loved the bravado of a man with nothing to back it up. He was born in New York City in 1952. His father, Eugene Lang, was a businessman and philanthropist who pledged to send a class of Harlem 6th graders to college and then gave away the bulk of his $150 million estate to charity, insisting his children make their own way. Stephen earned his BA at Swarthmore in 1973. He has been married to costume designer Christina Watson since 1980, 45 years. 4 children, Lucy, who became New York State Inspector General, Grace, Daniel, and Noah, who received his Swarthmore bachelor's degree at the same ceremony where Stephen received an honorary one in 2010. 16 years after Tombstone, James Cameron cast him as Colonel Quaritch in Avatar. He has played the role across 3 more films now, the most recent being Avatar, Fire and Ash in 2025. The Avatar franchise has earned more than $5 billion worldwide. Ike Clanton was a coward in Chaps. Stephen Lang made a 40-year career out of playing the men nobody else dared to play. If you have made it this far, you are exactly the audience this channel is for. Subscribe so we can keep telling these stories the way they deserve to be told. Number 9 never appeared in front of the cameras. Robert Mitchum was supposed to play Old Man Clanton, the patriarch of the Cowboys gang. He was 76 during pre-production. A horse threw him during rehearsal and left him unable to ride. So the producers cut Old Man Clanton out of the script, redistributed his lines to other characters, most of them to Powers Booth, and asked Mitchum to stay on as the narrator. Which is why his voice is the first voice you hear in the picture over the Mexican wedding massacre, and why his voice is the last voice you hear, telling you what happened to Wyatt Earp in 1929. Bob was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut, in 1917. His father was killed in a rail yard accident when he was 2. He spent his teen years on the road during the Depression, riding rails and working chain gangs. He met Dorothy Spence in Delaware when she was 14 and he was 16. They married on March 16, 1940, in the kitchen of a Methodist parson in Dover. The marriage lasted 57 years. He had been a heavy smoker his entire life. In spring 1997, he was diagnosed with lung cancer. He died in his sleep at 5 in the morning on July 1, 1997, at his home in Santa Barbara, with Dorothy at his side. He was 79. Cremated, ashes scattered at sea. His death made the front pages briefly, then was eclipsed the next day when Jimmy Stewart died on July 2nd. Mitchum was supposed to ride into Tombstone as the patriarch of the Cowboys gang. A horse threw him, and he sat in a recording booth instead, and gave the picture the only voice it ever needed. 10th on this list played the gunfighter so cold his showdown with Doc Holliday became one of the most quoted exchanges in any Western. Michael Biehn was 37 when he played Johnny Ringo. The Latin scene at the bar, in Vino Veritas, Age Quod August, runs 90 seconds and has been repeated in every cowboy bar in America since. Michael was born in Anniston, Alabama, in 1956 and raised in Lincoln, Nebraska, before his family moved to Lake Havasu City, Arizona. He had a drama scholarship to the University of Arizona, left after 2 years for Hollywood, and hit the big time in 1984 as Kyle Reese in The Terminator. He made his career out of James Cameron pictures, Aliens, The Abyss, the cut footage of Terminator 2. He has been married 3 times and is the father of 5 sons. His current wife is the actress Jennifer Blanc. They live in Bisbee, Arizona, 25 miles from the actual town of Tombstone, and run a production company together. Of every film he has ever made, Biehn has said in interview after interview that Tombstone is his favorite. He is 69 and still working. The man who played the most lethal gunfighter in the picture chose to live the rest of his life inside it. At number 11 is Billy Clanton, the youngest cowboy at the OK Corral. Thomas Hayden Church was 33 at the time, in the middle of his run as the simple-minded mechanic Lowell Mather on the NBC sitcom Wings. His Tombstone role was small, the boy who shoots Morgan Earp and dies in the dirt seconds later. He was born in Yolo County, California, raised in Texas, and worked on a ranch in Webb County from age 13. He left high school in 1977 to work the Louisiana oil fields before returning to graduate from Harlingen High in 1979. He was a radio personality before he was an actor. Thomas has never married. He has 2 children from a former relationship. He lives on a 2,000-acre ranch near Kerrville, Texas, and a second ranch near Lost Maples State Natural Area in the Texas Hill Country. He is 65. In 2003, he had effectively retired from acting to ranch full-time. Then Alexander Payne called him to read for Sideways. Thomas stripped naked at the audition because he said the scene required vulnerability. He was the only actor to do so and earned an Academy Award nomination for that performance the following year. He had 2 minutes of screen time in Tombstone, dying in the dust at 33. 11 years later, he was an Oscar nominee. Closing this list is the man who was the biggest teen idol in America the year Tombstone opened. Jason Priestley was 24 during filming, in the middle of Beverly Hills 90210's run as the most-watched teen drama in the country. He played Deputy Billy Breckenridge, a small role, but the casting itself was the signal. Putting one of the biggest TV stars in the world in a Western part told the 1993 audience that this was a real movie. He was born in North Vancouver, British Columbia, in 1969. His mother, Sharon, was an acting coach. He became an American citizen in 2007. In August 2002, he was nearly killed in a practice run at the Kentucky Speedway. A high-speed crash into a wall that left him in critical condition. He recovered. In 2017, he revealed he had once punched Harvey Weinstein in the face at a Golden Globes after-party after Weinstein grabbed his arm during an argument. Jason has been married to makeup artist Naomi Loud since May of 2005. They have 2 children, Ava and Dashiell. He is 56 and still works steadily, mostly in television and as a director. The boy from Beverly Hills 90210 grew up to be a man who can say, accurately, that he once punched Harvey Weinstein in the face. 5 are gone, 7 are still here. Tombstone played in theaters for 2 weeks in 1993 and has been playing in living rooms ever since.